Welcome everyone to my hardcore. Welcome everyone to my survival Minecraft world. Now, you might be asking yourselves, episode 1, world tour, what sense does that make? Don't worry, I'll answer all your questions. So, prior to starting this about a year ago, I had been watching a lot of speedrunning, and I had the idea of speedrunning a game on a world that I planned to play for a long time. So that's what I did. When I first spawned in over there, came this direction right away. Luckily found the village. And then just over that way, not far, I found a ruined portal. That's how I got into the nether right away. And then through that portal, not far away, there's a bastion. And it was a bridge. So it was easy to get the gold, easy to get the ender pearls. But then came the battle of getting blaze rods. And I tried the F3 debug method to get the blaze spawner and failed miserably. What ended up happening is I had to travel 900 blocks in the nether, finally got blaze rods, came back out through this portal, and then I found an end portal not too far this way. But on my journey there, I found another village that I decided once I beat the dragon I would come back to and create this starter base. Now there's several farms here, but it kind of got more advanced than I wanted it to, because like I said, this was only ever supposed to be a starter base. And shortly after I beat the dragon, came back out with wings, I did a 2,000 block radius around spawn to look for a permanent home, and I found one about 2,000 blocks that direction. So that's where I plan to make my permanent base. But yeah, as a starter base, what I got going on here is over here, I built a villager breeder right away, just a real simple one. It's broken at the moment because one guy escaped. But they came down here and then I could move them around however I wanted. So I created these 2 iron farms, and these things are super simple to make, and honestly these are the only iron farms I have in the world right now. And I'll probably just copy these over at the new location if I need iron. Outside of that, I was going to focus on the farmer villagers to trade pumpkins, and then also the librarians. So I created this pumpkin farm, which has some issues because I think the pumpkins break and get shot across to the other side and get stuck. And then when they get stuck, they'll start collecting other pumpkins that get shot off near them. The entities will group together. Simple solution would just be to take this one side off and put it on this, stack it up. But like I said, I'm not going to do a whole lot more here because I'm kind of done with it for now. The sugarcane farm is not the most efficient, as you can see. It just has one observer. That observer will trigger all the pistons, and then this minecart will just loop around and back, drop off all the items. Another simple melon farm, just observers and pistons. So all these farms here, including the iron farms, they all funnel their items underground, and they go up into this pipe and into the building where I have the trading hall. At top floor, these guys I just haven't dealt with, but these are all pumpkin guys, and I cured all of them so they all trade 1 pumpkin for emeralds. These are all melon guys, but I realized quickly after making the pumpkin farm that it's a little more efficient than I thought it was. So I think most of these guys are going to end up being retired. So yeah, all the items flow into the building here. And there's 3 simple sorters here for carrots, potatoes, pumpkins. The rest fall down here. This is level with the librarians, but down here at the bottom, the melons and pumpkins come into this auto crafter. They get filtered off here and just crafted into blocks, and then I shoot them back up because over here I have another 3 item filters. So I get my iron blocks, pumpkins, and sugarcane in here. And then the roses that come from the iron farm, I also just throw them through this composter. But yeah, in here is the villagers, or the librarians. As you can see, this place is fully complete. Yeah, I just got the ones I needed the most, like feather falling, protection 4, mending, that sort of stuff. Have these toolsmiths and armor smiths, weaponsmiths. Honestly, these guys I don't use very often, but I mean it's pretty cheap to just go up there, trade a few pumpkins, grab some tools, grab some armor, disenchant it, do whatever you need to do with it. This guy's the only cartographer I have, and I've used him to find the woodland mansion, which happens to be near the base I'm gonna build up. And then this trial chamber, which I did find over there. I haven't made a farm of it yet, but I probably won't either. I'll probably try and find one closer to the other base. This was another starter farm I made. This isn't very efficient. I'm not sure why exactly, but I mean, I should make it bigger, like have 4 quadrants instead of just 2. And then for whatever reason, I built a house here. And based on the interior, you can tell that I use it a lot. Another big project I did here was this moss farm. Now, by no means should anyone ever copy this, because you will not like it. I didn't want to copy a design because I wanted to try and build one myself to try and learn how they actually work. But I did copy this piston pushing concept from someone, and it doesn't work with the way I have the dispenser bone mealing, because what'll happen sometimes is these edges will become all stone, and the bone meal won't turn it into moss, and when that happens, it pushes stone against stone, and it ends up pushing the stone up. It becomes basically a 3 by 5 or whatever this is. Yeah, 3 by 6. I've got a new design I've built in Creative that I'm going to implement at the new place. I keep talking about the new place, and I'll show you guys that in a second after I get out of this hole. This is just a pretty simple sheep farm. I have all the colors in here. When I originally built these, I only did a few colors, so that's why in the chests I have a lot more of certain wool than I do the others. But all this is I forget what the exact terminology is, but it's a redstone burnout with a redstone torch. We'll just activate the dispensers every once in a while and shear all the sheep in there. It produces a lot of wool, but more than I'll need, more than likely. And then yeah, it just comes through item filters. It's broken too because I didn't realize when I did it that items will get stuck on hoppers like that when you flow them straight across. Simple solution is just align the items on the edge with honey blocks or chests or however you do that. This guy escaped when I was putting them all in here. Yeah, then I just slow them down with this dropper here. So when I started this world, the main goal of this whole world is system automation. And what that really means is I wanted all my farms to be interactive, where I had to either be there doing something or it was doing something in the background while I was doing something else. So a couple of like sub points of this system automation are I wanted to limit the amount of AFK farms I made. An example of this is a creeper farm that you either have to kill the creepers with looting 3 or the creepers just die while you're tending to something else. Another example would be a froglight farm. There's probably a way you could do it with looting, but it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense in my opinion. It'd be a lot easier to just have something that you sit at and do something else while the froglights are being made. Then another key point is when I die and lose everything, which will eventually happen, I want it to be easy to recover everything. And that really means like this trading hall, for example. I can come up here, grab pumpkins, trade a whole inventory of pumpkins, get a bunch of emeralds, get a bunch of XP, come in here, get my tools, get my books, have all my stuff that I lost very quickly. Now, there's a difference between doing that and just stockpiling everything, in my opinion. I could sit here for hours and just get shulker box on shulker box full of equipment, but that's kind of not the point of all this. The point is to, when you lose everything, have a way to get it back, not just have it already, if that makes sense. This is a auto brewer I saw Etho make on Hermitcraft. I don't understand this thing, and I can't get it to work. I ended up just fighting it so long that I filled both these barrels with the potion, and I was like, okay, what was the point of that? But in the future, I think I know a way to just make these single brew, like just one potion, because this is like a whole selector thing that I don't really need, and I would just have multiple of these for whatever potions I want. As you can see, this moss farm works really well, but I'll just briefly show the redstone with this. This is just a hopper clock without pistons, because I try to avoid the piston noise if possible. But yeah, basically there's 3 circuits in here. There's the dispensing circuit, the piston circuit, and the trapdoors up above. I got it in a way that the dispensers will only activate every other time with 2 T flip-flops basically. And then the pistons and trapdoors will activate opposite of each other. One will operate on this side of the clock, the other one will operate on this side. And then to try and help avoid that stone being pushed up like that, I added just another simple comparator circuit to check see if the dispensers had bone meal in them, and if they do, keep it running. If not, they'll shut the whole system off. Any one of these runs out, it'll shut the system off. Like I can already tell that this one over here ran out of bone meal. So it shut the whole clock off, shuts the whole system off. But like I said, it doesn't work that great. It has some issues, but all of these issues I've learned something from, and in my new design So I'm back here at spawn. Another thing I wanted to mention is in previous worlds I've played in, I would play them for a while and then not play them for a while, and then when I'd go back to them, I'd forget where everything was. Obviously, if you use the nether to travel and you don't do anything to make the travel in the nether easier, you're going to have a rough time. So something I wanted to focus on in this early on was to make the nether easier to move around in. So I created highways in here. Now all these tunnels are the same design just because this basalt and blackstone was super easy to get. But yeah, from spawn, if I go down this way, right where that piglin came out is where the villager trading hall is. Over here is the first bastion I found. I found it pretty quickly out of spawn. Down this way. Down here is the only, I suppose you could say, legit XP farm. And it's a gold farm. It's on the roof, obviously. And I put the portal over there so that they would link up without realizing I could have just put the portal in the air and put a pobble column. But maybe someday I'll fix that. But probably not, because I won't visit this place because I'll build a different one again at the new place, which we will be getting to here. Up here, I'll try and link into the description who I copied this from, but it's real simple. It's just 3 platforms with turtle eggs in it, and then you just come here and you aggro one, and looting 3, kill them all as a die. The biggest problem with this farm is the rates. You can see you can quickly kill all the pigmen, and once you kill them all, you'll have to run back up there and aggravate them. Eventually it'll run out if you stay here long enough. I haven't needed that much gold other than the golden apples, so that's why I've kind of not worried too much about expanding this. And this is just a bunch of item filters here. Filter all the stuff. Stone swords go in here. I think, yeah, I was using lava buckets or gold swords go in there. I was using lava buckets to smelt them down into nuggets. But anyway, so back in the nether, if I travel the opposite direction of the trading hall, there's another bastion here. That's where I found the smithing templates to get my netherite stuff. When I flew that radius around to look for a new base, I was also looking for biomes that I would need, like mesas and spiked ice. So that's what I found out here. It's really the only reason I've ever been out here, is to get all the blue ice. So yeah. there's not much to show out here. So there's spawn again, and you come this way, go past the bastion. I made this little temporary thing because I was smelting all this glass in here, and I constantly needed glass, and I wasn't gonna go back out and come back in, so I just built this. And it was nice to put all the netherite or netherrack and basalt I was getting by digging these tunnels. So this goes to the trading hall, and back here, I don't know if you noticed it in the sky, also that direction is the mesa biome. In the sky, I made this super basic creeper farm. Now, this farm's only purpose was to get like basic gunpowder for rockets. And you don't have to sit here very long to get little gunpowder. And you don't need that much gunpowder to make stacks of rockets. But you can see, you know, that's the base down there, starter base. Flew down here and realized I forgot to mention a couple things. This was just a simple sea pickle farm because I needed sea pickles for the dye to make all that stained glass in the nether. Here's a bamboo farm I spent way too long on. The idea with this, I built this before I built the bone meal farm, but I thought it would be a lot easier to get oodles and oodles of bone meal, and I was going to fill this and just leave it run for quite a while, like this right here. Activates the dispensers down there that have no bone meal in them, and then once it gets to that observer, it breaks them all. But this thing has just been running passively, and it's enough. I realized after I built it, it wasn't really gonna work without a lot of bone meal. And I mean, this thing does alright, but it's not great. Yeah, this is just crafting the bone meal. Alright, so back in the nether here. This is the trading hall again. Down this way, close to the trading hall village, there's a mine shaft, and I just created a portal to it because there was a couple spider spawners there. I haven't done anything with them though. Down this way, after these guys kill me. This is the first end I found. Haven't done anything in here because I wanted to save the silverfish spawner in case I plan to use it in the future. But yeah, in the end, other than getting wings and killing the dragon, the only two things I've done in here is get obsidian and kill the withers. That's it. And as you can see, I've got the platforms in for a lot of these tunnels, but after like hours of digging and placing just these few blocks, it gets pretty annoying. So I usually leave them like this until the gas shoots them and destroys half the stuff. But anyway, remember at the beginning when I said I had to go a very long ways to find another fortress? Well, this is the journey to it. So after traveling about 900 blocks, you end up here. Now this obviously looks quite a bit different, and that's because I've done a lot of work here to make it like a wither skeleton farm. And obviously, before anyone starts screaming at their screen, there's more efficient ways to do these farms. I wanted one like this that you have to run around and actually kill them. Because with a Smite 5 sword, it's kind of enjoyable. To just run around, listen to some music, and run around and kill these guys. The only really annoying part is the blaze and the magma, but when you can one-shot the withers, this isn't a Smite 5 sword, so it doesn't work. But when you can one-shot these guys, I mean, it does not take long to get quite a few wither skulls. And while I was building it, I made this like permanent storage room, even though there's not that many chests. And you can even do this with a diamond. Oh gosh. With a diamond Smite 5 sword. Because I have the beacons there, and then I got some more over here. And I still have 2 blaze spawners here that I just covered up. Yeah, over this way is the other beacon. Right there. And I wish there was a intersection over here, but I got unlucky. Yeah, I spent quite a bit of time slabbing off just this close stuff because it kept having skeletons spawn there. I also ended up removing like a big island here. This is one of those farms that I actually have future plans with to try and make it just as efficient as possible. And maybe down the road, I think this is the only, this and that are the only intersections that spawn, so if I wanted to do like a legit Wither Skelly farm, I'd have to do it probably right here. Which wouldn't be bad, except you'd have to... I don't know if you'd have to slab all this, like if these skellies that spawn up here would screw it up. But, yeah, I don't know. If I had a bunch of TNT, I could just blow this to smithereens. But yeah, that's about it for here. Again, you can tell that all my tunnels are fully complete. Okay, I'm back to where down this way is the first end portal I found. And now this way is where my permanent base is going to be. And I really need to get rails in here. These magmas are so annoying. And they will kill you. It's not difficult for them to kill you. Alright, guys. Also, another thing with these tunnels is I put these half slabs up on top to make it look more aesthetically pleasing, and it's just a giant pain because if you end up having to fly through here, you just constantly hit your head on it. So like I said, I really need to get rails in here so things quit spawning. But yeah, down this way, and you would think I would have done it by now since I end up coming down here all the time. Can I have that? Okay. But yeah, anyway, when I flew that radius around the map, as soon as I found this place, I knew instantly this is where I had to make my permanent base. And there's not a lot there, other than, honestly, it's just a storage room. Looks glorious. Jagged Peaks is probably my favorite biome in this whole game. It's not the biggest Jagged Peaks biome I've ever seen, but it's the biggest one I found in this world. And what really sealed the deal is this, like, singular mountain here, because pretty much the whole inside of it is just one giant cave. But yeah, here's another crude storage room. This is just multiple item sorters. Now this doesn't work that great because these need to be pretty full in order for the items to come down. But it does work if you just dump stuff in here. Like random stuff. And then he'll just pass it along, look through these. If it's not, it goes through there. And then it goes to these, which doesn't have any redstone. These are just copper golems, and they have their 9 chests that they can sort into. Yeah, not all of these are full either. I've just been chucking items in there as I've been getting them. This would have to be all reorganized. This is organized, but the biggest problem with this is I just don't have that many blocks, so I end up going in here quite a bit to get them. And obviously these need to be renamed so they're like permanently in there and not stackable. But yeah, here's the redstone. It's just a item filter. I think there's other ways to do this, but since I only have one copper golem, if he puts 16 items into a full chest, I don't think it spreads over. But yeah, up here I just made a little bed area for a lookout. This whole area needs some work, but got the basic concept down of it. Over there I've just been planting and cutting down spruce trees. If you can't tell, some of my favorite blocks are tough and strip spruce. Down here, one of the first things I built when I got here was this place I call the lab. And in here I just have a bamboo farm. This could be a lot bigger. Also, the observer could be down, but I kind of like the way it looks when they grow up too and then get knocked over. But yeah, all this is going into a chest out here. It should be going through an autocrafter, turn it into wood. Because bamboo is really good for just making bulk chests or anything that, like trapdoors that you're using for water or something like that. Yeah, here's some bees. This is a honeycomb, that's a honey block. Which, now that I look at this, is this even working? I think this is broken, which isn't great. Okay. But yeah, this one's simple. It's just trapdoors on observers. Tries to get the honeycombs just like that. End up in there. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's broken, but I have to fix it in the dark. Got these guys from that woodland mansion I found with the cartographer. This is the first mob farm I built here, which is just a super simple creeper farm. But I should have made this lower. The idea was to make it as low as possible and keep it exposed to the sky to help the rates. Because I had this giant hole here. I should take off the first 2 layers and then just add on below them. And I should also make it a little bit bigger. Because right now this tinted glass is like the spawnable area. And I just have a super basic collection system down here. It does a fair job if I'm in the area. But it'd be nice to be able to like toggle it where I could stand underneath there and use looting 3. Oh, another thing I wanted to show about this mountain here is obviously you saw the Night City down there. But this mountain has like 3 to 4 layers of huge caves in it that I found when I first came here. And I wanted to light all these caves up because for any mob farms I make. But you can see there's the creeper collection. And it's just a massive cave. And then there's another abandoned mine shaft over here. If you're here in this area long enough, you can tell that it's pretty lit up because a bunch of slimes keep spawning. Yeah, another thing that took a lot of time was going through this and getting all the shriekers out of here. It took forever because there's so many like nooks and crannies that the shriekers kept being in, and they're like impossible to find when they keep giving you darkness. But eventually it got them all. And down this way is the city. Are they ancient cities? Is that what they're called? I think so. Went through here, took all the shriekers out, looted all the chests, and I found one Sweet Sniff 2 book. That was it. Disappointing to say the least. But the good news is, I did find another one. Another Night City, Ancient City, just like 100 blocks that way. I'll go through there eventually. Yeah, as for other things, right over here is another place I'd like to make a little farm, or farm area, because in here, if I can get in there, is a skelly spawner. So it'd be nice to like mine this whole area out and just have them drop, or make a farm that I could do looting 3 on. But like if I made some sort of like crop farm here I had to manually interact with, it'd be nice to just have this thing running all the time, get excess bones from. I mean, this Jagged Peaks area just looks so sick. I wish it was bigger, but if they get too big, then it's just like almost impossible to build on them and move around on them. And I suppose the last thing to show you, it's not a farm or anything, but it's the second end portal I found. And I wanted to find one that was a little bit closer to the home base. And this one's actually, I think, closer to spawn than the other one, but it's also obviously closer to the base. And this one I destroyed the silverfish spawner and tried to make it look nice. I don't do a lot in the end, but I do plan on probably making an Enderman farm at least in there. This is just supposed to be like a void. I haven't touched the ceiling yet, but it's slow going. Yeah, here in the lab I have a few little list of future projects. One I'll be focusing on the most is this kelp cactus farm. And the plan with that is to make an automatic kelp farm in this area here. I started digging out a little bit underwater to make it level. I'm thinking it's going to have to probably go way out into there. But the concept is that the kelp will automatically go into a factory that I'm probably going to put over here somewhere. And it'll automatically get smelted, turned into dried kelp. Then that dried kelp blocks will get sent to another factory, which will be a cactus factory. And the idea with the cactus is to just basically make an infinite XP farm, an infinite automatic XP farm. So whenever I need tons of XP, I can just go there, lock a furnace, and get all the XP I could ever need. Because when it comes to like enchanting tools with multiple enchantments, it can take a lot of XP. And if you don't have like a Enderman farm or a really good gold farm, it can kind of take a while if you're trading with villagers. Well, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. It's not much of a world tour, seeing how there isn't that many projects, but there's more to come. But if you're curious about how I'm gonna do this whole kelp cactus thing, keep an eye out for episode 2. Thanks for watching.